Today I'm restyling the top of the boiler house here. I was going to use these somewhere on the ground, and I realised that the courtyard garden is getting pretty full, and so we need to put them somewhere else. So I came up with the idea, why not put them on top of the boiler house? And then I've raised the birdhouse up at the back on top of one of those beautiful clay terracotta pots. I don't know what they look like from the ground to you guys, but to me from here they look pretty nice, especially with the background of all the beautiful Victorian rose bush at the back. I do know the name of the rose bush, but I can't remember it offhand now, it's just left me. So I'm going to get on with filling these lovely begonias that I've got. Some nice trailing begonia bonfire orange and a nice fuchsia red one. And okay, so you missed the fun, you guys, of us getting them up there. They weigh an absolute ton and it's nearly killed us. If I need to go for a triple heart bypass by the end of this video, then they're to blame. But you know what? I am. It was my suggestion for them to go up there in the first place. So that's what happens when you have a mad thought brain in your head. And Scooter is giving me a filthy look because I've just roared at him because he keeps barking at Harold. He's driving me mad today. Scooter? Are you going to continue barking, or are you going to be quiet for a little while? Say hello to everybody on YouTube. Look at him, he looks so meek, like a little mouse. Yeah. And you had the noise of him 5 minutes ago. Okay, up I go. Okay, you guys, so yesterday was my friend Anne's open day for her Secret Gardens of Sligo, and I brought with me 2 cakes, one of which was a cinnamon apple cake, and it was absolutely, I have to say, delicious. Everybody was asking me about this cake. In fact, 2 ladies, can you believe the cheek? Did I really make the cake, and wanted to know what I put into the cake and how I went about making the cake. They were trying to prove that I didn't make the cake, but guess what? I made the cake. So I'm going to show these ladies now exactly how I made the cake, because I told them to watch YouTube to see. So, and I'm going to share this recipe with you. If there is no other cake in the world you ever make, please, please, please make this apple cinnamon cake. It is moist, delicious, sweet, and gorgeous. And my friend gave me a windfall of apples the other day, which is what inspired me to make the cake, because I thought, applesauce? I don't think so. It's far too many. We need to do something. So I decided I'd make this apple cake. So let me run through with you. First of all, what you need to do is turn your oven on to fan 160, 320 Fahrenheit or gas mark 4. Why am I waving a pen at you? I have no idea. Okay, let's run through what you need. You need a sieve. You need a springform cake tin, and I've just lined it with a disc of greaseproof paper. You also need a spatula and a whisk. And you need 2 bowls, one for your dry ingredients, one for your wet ingredients. And let me run through the ingredients. Not very many ingredients in this cake at all. So I have done 4 small apples. If you've got big apples, do 2. If you've got ginormous apples, do 1. I haven't seen a ginormous apple. So yes, I've done 4 of these size apples in this cake. And all I've done is I've peeled them, cored them, and I've chopped them up into bite-sized pieces. So, in this bowl I have, let's see, I can't swallow it now, 210 grams of plain all-purpose flour. In there I have put 2 teaspoons of baking powder. I have put a half a teaspoon of baking soda, and I have put a quarter of a teaspoon of salt. And that is all in that bowl there. In this bowl here is my sugar, which is 150 grams of sugar. I have in these two bowls, I have 120 mils of plain Greek yogurt and 120 mils of vegetable oil. I also have in that bowl a teaspoon of vanilla extract. 2 large eggs, or in my case, because my friend's chickens are laying medium-sized eggs, 3 medium eggs. Then I will run through with you the glaze and the topping for on top of the cake. So the glaze, I literally put 150 grams of icing sugar, powdered sugar, into a bowl with a teaspoon of milk, and I've made it into a nice consistency milky glaze, which I will just drizzle over the top of the cake when it's completely cold. If you put that on when the cake is warm, it will just dissolve into the cake. In this bowl, I have 1 tablespoon of melted butter, and I also have 100 grams of sugar and 1 teaspoon of cinnamon. And that is going to be crumbled over the top of the batter when it goes into the cake tin. And that will slowly sink through, and some of it will stay on the top and some of it will ripple through the cake. So let's get on with our dry ingredients. First thing you need to do is pour your apples into your bowl. Okay, and then we will sieve over the top of that our flour, baking soda, salt and baking powder. And that will coat the apples in flour so it will stop them from sinking to the bottom. They will be dispersed really nicely throughout this cake. Okay, that's that job done. Now we will get our spatula and we'll just fold that in. Okay, coating those apples, like I said, in flour. Okay, into that we will also add our sugar. Like, unbelievable, so easy. Okay, now for our wet ingredients. So, into our other bowl we're going to put our oil. We're going to put our yogurt and our vanilla extract. And we're going to crack our 3 eggs. One at a time. One. Now, we're going to just give that a little whisk just to break up those eggs and incorporate the oil and the yogurt into the eggs. So all I'm going to do now is I'm going to incorporate the wet ingredients into the dry ingredients. And it's simply a matter of pouring it in and folding it in. You don't want to overmix this batter. Keep it nice and light. So the less mixing you do, the better. You literally just need to incorporate everything together. Okay. So there's really no need for an electric mixer. Please don't use one because it will just toughen your batter and it will make the cake very heavy. Once you've incorporated all your flour and there's no dry lumps of flour in there, you can get it straight into your cake tin. Right, spread that out just ever so slightly in your tin. It will spread itself with the heat in the oven. Okay, so let's move them aside. Now, get your crumbly, sugary, cinnamony topping and you literally just scatter it over the top. You don't have to worry about how indigenous you are with this. Just get it all on there because you want that beautiful cinnamon crunchiness running through that cake. How dare they? Can you believe the cheek of them? You didn't make that cake. How did you make it? What did you put inside of it? Honestly, my friend Anne, she was twisted on the chair thinking, my God, talk about interrogation. Okay, there we have it, folks. That's it, and that's ready for the oven, and that will go into the oven for 30 to 35 minutes. We'll stick a skewer in the center to make sure it's cooked, and then we'll put it on a wire rack to cool completely before we turn it out, and then we'll pop our drizzle icing when it's completely cold over the top. Come back and join me for a slice and a cup of tea a bit later. Okay, so our cake is completely cold. I've left it in the tin to go completely cold, and it took 40 minutes in the oven. I stuck my skewer in, it was a little bit wet still, so after the 30, so I left it in for another 10. So now I'm just going to turn it over onto my plate and then take off my base paper and turn it back over again. Okay, so we flipped it back over right side up, and now we can put our drizzle over the top. So, just get your icing and just take it from a height And let it start dribbling off and onto your cake however you like. Remember, no piping bag required. Just get lots of that lovely gooey icing on the top. You can put it all on and just spread it out with a palette knife if you wish. But I like it to have a little bit of a zigzag effect. I won't cut too big a slice because I'll be having my dinner a little bit later. So we'll be looking forward to this after dinner for dessert. And there you are, my friends, a delicious, moist apple and cinnamon crunch cake. Absolutely stunning and delicious with a nice cup of tea. And that shall come any minute now. Can you hear the crunch? Amazing. So folks, give it a try. One of the simplest cakes you'll ever make. Definitely one of the tastiest you'll ever make. And a good way of using up all your windfall of apples if you've got any apple trees that are about to fruit. And don't forget to like and subscribe. We'll see you again very soon for another video. So from Nikolai, Chris, Scooter and Tracy, the film editor today, take care and see you soon. Bye.